What if the very thing keeping you stuck is the thing you've been protecting the most? Your comfort? Think about that. Every time you hit snooze, every time you put off the workout, every time you say I'll start tomorrow, you're not just delaying progress. You're reinforcing a prison. A soft, quiet prison built from excuses and fear. Comfort feels safe. It feels warm. But it's a lie. It's a trap disguised as peace. And the longer you sit in it, the harder it becomes to move. You're not tired. You're underused. You're not weak. You've just been avoiding the very pressure that would make you powerful. Deep down, you know you're meant for more. There's a version of you that's sharper, stronger, more disciplined, but that version isn't born from ease. It's carved out in the fire of discomfort. When you force yourself to move, to push, to break through resistance, that's when the shift happens. It's not a single moment. It's a decision you repeat. A decision to stop listening to the voice that says, take it easy. That voice is not your friend. It's the enemy of growth. And every time you choose comfort, you choose to betray your future. You don't get stronger by staying where it's soft. You grow by stepping into the hard, into the unfamiliar. That's where you find your edge. That's where you meet the part of you that doesn't quit. Because here's the truth. No one becomes great by accident. It takes grit. It takes daily discomfort. It takes forcing yourself to show up when nothing in you wants to. Success is not found in the grand gestures. It's in the small battles, won in silence, repeated in discipline, rewarded in results. If you stay until the end of this, something will shift in you. You'll feel it. The pull toward who you could be will get louder, not because of hype, but because something inside you is ready to stop playing small, ready to rise not once but daily. This isn't about a perfect life, it's about a relentless one, a life that refuses to settle, that refuses to accept average, that refuses to be driven by feelings and instead lives by force. Force of will, force of purpose, force of vision. So stay with this. Let it wake something up in you. Let it burn through the layers of doubt and delay you've wrapped yourself in. The path isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because on the other side of comfort is capacity, and your capacity is limitless. If you're willing to do what most people won't, force yourself to rise, to show up, to become day after day, not when it's convenient, when it's necessary. And right now, it is. You say you want to change, but are you willing to do what change demands? Because change doesn't ask for promises. It demands proof. It's not about how much you want it. It's about how far you'll go when it gets hard. Most people fold at discomfort. They flinch when it burns. But if you're serious about becoming the best version of yourself, you have to stop negotiating with pain. You have to stop giving yourself the option to quit. That option has to die. Growth begins the moment excuses end. Every excuse you make is a chain around your potential. Break it. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision. One real, solid decision to stop living beneath yourself. You know what you should be doing. You know the habits that need to be broken, the standards that need to be raised, the time that's slipping away while you wait for the right moment. That moment is now. And the difference between who you are and who you want to be is found in what you tolerate. If you keep tolerating weakness, comfort, and distraction, don't be surprised when your life reflects it. Raise the standard. Hold the line. Refuse to bend. Every time you force yourself to act when you don't feel like it, you build mental armor. You harden your discipline. You stretch your threshold. And slowly, you become someone who does what others avoid. That's how leaders are born. That's how winners are made. Not in one epic leap, but in thousands of micro decisions that no one sees. Discipline is how you respect your potential. It's how you prove to yourself that your future is worth fighting for. If you really want to love yourself, stop lying to yourself. Stop betraying your goals with small, lazy choices. You won't always feel powerful. But power isn't a feeling. It's a pattern, a habit, a decision to keep showing up even when everything inside you says stop. If you can do that, you unlock a version of yourself that feels unstoppable. Not because life is easy, but because you're no longer dependent on it being easy. You've trained your mind to obey your mission, not your mood. That's real freedom. When your discipline becomes stronger than your doubt, when your standards become non-negotiable. So ask yourself right now, are your actions matching your ambition? Or are you still hoping for greatness while feeding weakness? You can't have both. You can't dream big and act small. Something has to give. And if it's not your excuses, it will be your potential. You don't get to stay the same and level up. One must die for the other to live. Choose wisely, choose daily. And when your mind screams for rest, stand up. Not because it's easy, but because that's who you've decided to be. The person who does it anyway. The person who becomes unbreakable, one choice at a time. Every single day, your life is shaped by what you allow. What you tolerate becomes your identity. You're either making decisions that align with your greatness, or you're making decisions that keep you trapped in mediocrity. There is no middle ground. Every time you hit that wall, fatigue, doubt, fear, that's your test. That's the fork in the road. And most people turn back, they shrink, they say not today. But if you want to be exceptional, you have to do what they won't. You have to lean into the resistance. You have to walk straight into the discomfort and stay there until you come out stronger. Because that resistance, that's where transformation lives. That's where the old you dies and the new you is born. Nothing about becoming your best self will feel easy. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to stretch you. That's how you know it's real. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But not everyone wants to rise. Most just want to feel good. But feelings lie. They whisper comfort. They seduce you into wasting your time. But your future doesn't need you to feel good. It needs you to act with purpose, with grit, with unshakable discipline, even when nothing around you is motivating. You don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the most talented, but you must become the most relentless. The one who refuses to back down when it gets heavy. The one who keeps showing up when it stops being exciting. That's the difference between wishing and winning. The people who rise aren't the ones who waited for clarity. They're the ones who move forward in chaos, who didn't need to feel ready to act ready. And over time, that momentum builds confidence, not from talk, from proof, from evidence that you've done the hard things over and over. This is your reminder, you don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need anyone to cheer you on. You need a reason. A fire so strong that even on your worst day, it pulls you forward. If you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. If you're tired of being average, stop doing average things. Your potential isn't hidden. It's being ignored every time you choose comfort over commitment. And deep down, you know it. You feel the gap between who you are and who you could be. And that gap won't close until you take full responsibility. No more blaming. No more waiting. You don't rise once and stay there. You rise every day. You push again and again. Because the real you, the powerful, disciplined, focused version, is built daily, through pressure, through choices, through war with your weaker self. And every time you win that war, even just for a moment, you prove that you're no longer living by accident, you're living by force. And that is how greatness is made. Relentless, disciplined, non-negotiable force. Every single day. Most people lose because they keep waiting to feel like winning. They wait for the energy, for the mood, for the moment to feel right. But the truth is, the moment you feel ready is already too late. Champions aren't built in moments of comfort. They're built when nothing feels good, when nothing comes easy, and you still choose to rise. That choice, to act without motivation, to show up when every part of you wants to disappear, that's where power is forged. That's where discipline is born. And discipline will take you places motivation never could. Every time you make yourself do what you don't want to, you take control back from the chaos. You stop being ruled by moods and start being driven by mission. And the more you train yourself to act regardless of how you feel, the more dangerous you become. Because now you're not dependent on energy. You're not dependent on the perfect environment. You're not even dependent on progress. You're driven by your standard. A standard that says, I do the work. Always. No matter what. And that is the mentality that separates winners from everyone else. It's not the intensity of your effort one day that will define you. It's the consistency of your grind every day. You don't need to have perfect days. You need powerful patterns. Habits that ignore emotion and obey execution. That's what rewires your identity. You want to be the best? Start proving it in silence. Not through your words. Through your decisions. When you don't feel like showing up, show up. When your mind screams for comfort, do the opposite. Your actions are either reinforcing weakness or building strength. There is no neutral choice. You already know what's holding you back. You've been making peace with it for too long. Justifying it. Living with it. But it's not your friend. It's the anchor. The dead weight. And it's time to cut it off. Not slowly, ruthlessly. Because your life is being shaped by what you accept. And if you keep accepting less than you're capable of, you'll never see who you were meant to become. You'll stay in the cycle, waking up each day knowing you were built for more, but never demanding it from yourself. This isn't about a goal. It's about who you are when no one is watching. It's about who you become when you keep your promises to yourself, when your actions align with your ambition. And that version of you is not waiting somewhere out there. That version is created moment by moment through grit, repetition, and the refusal to quit. You are not here to coast. You are not here to survive. You are here to dominate. But domination doesn't come from comfort. It comes from force. Force over feelings, force over fear, force over failure, day after day, choice after choice. That's how the best are built. You don't get stronger by avoiding pressure. You get stronger by carrying it, by learning how to breathe through the tension and keep moving forward. Pressure isn't your enemy, it's your proving ground. It doesn't break you, it reveals you. It shows you who you really are underneath the noise, the comfort, and the lies you've told yourself. And if what it shows you is weakness, that's not a curse. It's a gift. Because now you know where to build. Now you know where the work begins. The strongest people didn't avoid pressure, they became it. They turned resistance into fuel and forged discipline from discomfort. You've been taught to fear struggle, to avoid the hard path, to wait for peace before you act. But real peace doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from knowing you can handle it, from knowing that whatever comes your way, you've trained for it. You've prepared. You've done the work in silence while others were waiting for ideal conditions. Pressure is not a signal to back off. It's a signal to lock in, to lean harder, to push when it hurts. Because the moment you stop waiting for things to get easier is the moment everything changes. Your mind will try to escape discomfort. It will beg for shortcuts. It will sell you stories that sound like safety but are really just sabotage. That voice in your head that says not today, that says you deserve rest, that says you've done enough. It is not your voice. It is the voice of fear, dressed up as kindness. And if you keep listening to it, it will steal everything from you. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. And one day you'll look around and realize you built a life based on comfort instead of calling. But it doesn't have to end that way. You can rise. You can choose power over pity, strength over softness. You can rewire your thoughts, retrain your habits, rebuild your identity not by thinking about it, but by acting through it. Over and over, you can put pressure on your old self until it cracks, until the excuses break, until the limitations fall apart under the weight of your consistency. That's how transformation happens. Not by wishing, not by waiting, or by force, applied, daily, with no compromise. You were not built to run from challenge. You were built to rise inside it. You were built to walk into the storm, to take the weight of life on your back and say, I'm still here. And not just survive it, but thrive in it. Because while others seek escape, you seek endurance. While others chase ease, you chase strength. And that strength is earned in the pressure, in the repetition, in the relentless choice to keep going when nothing around you supports it. That is the standard now. That is who you are now, not someday. Right now, because pressure doesn't pause, and neither do you. You are not a victim of your emotions unless you choose to be. You are not controlled by your feelings unless you hand them the keys. Every time you allow frustration to stop you, every time you let fear dictate your pace, every time you let anger pull you off track, you surrender control. But control is the foundation of power. When you own your emotional state, you own your direction. Life won't always be calm. It will throw chaos at you, confusion, doubt, and pressure, but none of that matters if you've trained yourself to respond instead of react. Emotional strength is not a gift. It is a skill, and you must sharpen it with intention. You have to stop taking things personally that are designed to test you, not break you. You can't keep letting temporary feelings rewrite permanent goals. Yes, it's hard to stay calm when everything around you is loud. Yes, it's difficult to stay focused when your thoughts are racing. But emotional discipline is what separates leaders from followers. It's what allows you to keep your mind still while the world spins. It's what gives you the edge, not just over others, but over your former self. When you learn to sit in discomfort without reacting, without escaping, you earn the kind of inner power no one can take away from you. This is about choosing to be grounded when your emotions want to make you impulsive. It's about remembering who you are when the moment tries to make you forget. You are not weak just because you feel weak. You are not lost just because you're uncertain. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. It's the ability to feel deeply but act wisely. To acknowledge pain but not bow to it. To feel fear but still move forward. That's what creates unstoppable force. Not denial of emotion but control over its influence. Stop blaming the world for your instability. Stop expecting your environment to change so you don't have to. The chaos around you is the perfect opportunity to build clarity within. You rise by making the hard choice, the higher choice, every time emotion tries to pull you off course. That's what makes you resilient. That's what gives you power. The ability to stand in the fire and still stay centered. You're not here to be tossed around by moods. You're here to lead them, guide them, use them. This is your turning point. Either you keep reacting and stay a slave to your state, or you rise and reclaim command. Your future will reflect that decision. Stay emotionally scattered and you will chase your tail forever. Get emotionally focused, and there's no limit to what you can build. Feel everything, but be led by nothing but purpose. That's your edge, that's your armor, that's your freedom, not from emotion, but from being ruled by it. And once you own that, nothing can own you. You either grow or you decay. There is no standing still. Every choice you make is either pushing you closer to the life you say you want, or pulling you deeper into the life you claim to hate. Stagnation is an illusion. Behind it is slow decline. When you stop stretching, you start shrinking. When you stop reaching, you start resting. If you aren't constantly challenging yourself, your potential becomes a memory. You can't talk about growth while defending your comfort zone. Growth asks for pain, for sacrifice, for the courage to destroy your old self so something stronger can rise in its place. This is the cost of elevation, letting go of the version of you that settles, the version that waits, the version that shrinks to fit into spaces that no longer serve your future. If you want to rise, you must outgrow the identities that kept you safe but small. You must be willing to release the habits that numb your hunger, the patterns that protect your limitations. Nothing changes until you change, and change doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you become intentional, aggressive, unapologetic about the life you are building. There is no breakthrough without breakdown, no elevation without friction. The people who grow are the ones who embrace that discomfort and keep moving anyway. They don't let struggle define them. They use it. They turn setbacks into strategy, pain into precision, resistance into readiness. Because they understand something most never will. Your future is built in moments when you could have stopped, but didn't. Every time you show up when it would have been easier to back down, you prove that growth is no longer optional. It's your only option. You have to stop asking if you're ready and start deciding that you are. You will never feel fully ready to break your patterns. That's why most stay stuck. They wait for clarity instead of creating it. They wait for confidence instead of building it. But greatness doesn't wait. It acts. It moves with fear in its chest and uncertainty in its hands, because it understands that waiting is the enemy of growth. You grow by doing what you're afraid to do, again and again, until it becomes who you are. You weren't built to stay the same. You weren't created to repeat yesterday. You were designed for expansion, for transformation, for more. But you can't step into more while clinging to what's familiar. You must choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One builds you, the other breaks you. Growth won't be handed to you. It must be taken, earned, demanded, daily. And if you don't rise to meet it, decay will claim what could have been yours. Stop waiting to become. Start forcing it. Start becoming the version of you that leaves no part of their potential untouched. Grow or be forgotten. That's the choice. Every day. Make it count. The world doesn't slow down for your doubts. It doesn't wait for your confidence to catch up. It doesn't care how tired you are, how discouraged, how uncertain. And that's exactly why you have to rise with force. Because success isn't given to those who need it. It's given to those who demand it. If you're not willing to become ruthless about your purpose, life will hand your opportunities to someone who is. You can't walk through life hoping things fall into place. You have to go out and make them. With intensity, with urgency, with a level of obsession that makes giving up feel offensive. This is not about being extreme. This is about being clear. What do you want? What are you willing to endure to get it? And what lies are you still telling yourself that make it okay to stay average? If you don't answer those questions honestly, you will live in loops, repeating cycles of almost someday and just enough. but almost doesn't win. Someday never arrives. And just enough will drain the life out of your purpose. If you're going to become your best, you have to stop living soft. You have to stop making your actions match your emotions and start making them match your vision. There's a part of you that knows this, that voice inside that gets louder when you're alone. It reminds you that you're capable of more, that you're made for something higher, and that voice gets quieter every time you ignore it, every time you let distraction win, every time you shrink because the work feels heavy, but you cannot run from the weight and expect to build strength. You have to lift it, carry it, and grow through it. You have to develop a mindset that is allergic to mediocrity, one that rejects excuses before they form, one that demands excellence even when no one is watching. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You need obsession. The kind that keeps you up at night and gets you up in the morning. The kind that doesn't fade when things get difficult. It sharpens. You need to want it bad enough to work when you're tired, to grind when you're doubted, to push when you're overlooked. Because you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to be great. And greatness doesn't happen when you feel like it. It happens when you don't, but you show up anyway. Your legacy is being written in the dark, in the moments no one sees, in the choices that feel small but shape everything. Show up with force, live with purpose, move with intention. Stop waiting for the world to hand you what you haven't earned. Take it, own it. Be so consistent, so disciplined, so relentless that success becomes your identity. No more hesitation, no more softness. This is your standard now. Ruthless effort every single day. If you keep negotiating with your weakness, it will keep winning. If you keep letting comfort speak louder than conviction, your life will stay small. Every time you pause to debate whether you feel like doing what needs to be done, you're surrendering your power. Your destiny isn't being stolen. It's being traded moment by moment for comfort, for laziness, for delay. And the cost is not just your progress, it's your identity. Because the more you break your own standards, the more your mind believes that's who you really are. Not disciplined, not focused, just another person with potential and no proof. You've got to stop giving yourself an out. Stop making escape an option. The best version of you lives on the other side of discipline. And discipline starts where your feelings end. You don't have time to negotiate with laziness. You don't have time to wrestle with excuses. You don't have time to tiptoe around effort like it's optional. It's not. It's the entrance fee to every goal you say you want. The work isn't punishment. The grind isn't torture. It's the process. It's the path. And if you can't learn to respect the process, you'll never be trusted with the result. There's nothing wrong with being tired. There's something wrong with quitting because of it. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. There's something wrong with letting fear decide your pace. You will feel weak. You will doubt yourself. You will hit resistance again and again. But if you fold there, you never build the muscle that was meant to carry you forward. Strength is not handed out. It's built through repetition, through war with your own patterns, through the ruthless act of showing up when your mind gives you every reason to sit back. You already know what needs to happen. You've known. But knowing isn't enough. It never was. Knowledge without action is paralysis. It's a trap that makes you feel like you're preparing while you're really just hiding. The shift happens when you stop gathering more reasons and start executing the ones you already have. When you stop explaining your hesitation and start eliminating it. You don't need to talk about what you're going to do. You need to do it so loudly that talk becomes irrelevant. No more silent battles with comfort. No more private negotiations with weakness. Draw the line. You're either becoming who you were built to be, or you're slowly fading into what the world wants you to be. Predictable, average, easy to define. But you weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out through discipline, through consistency, through a standard that doesn't bend. Make it clear to yourself this is non-negotiable. Not because it's easy, but because you're done living small. This is the moment you stop asking for power and start acting like you already have it. You cannot build greatness waiting for perfect conditions. The truth is, perfect conditions will never come. Life is messy. It's unpredictable. It throws obstacles in your path and distractions in your mind. If you wait for clarity, for energy, for motivation to strike, you'll wait forever. The difference between those who win and those who don't isn't talent or luck. It's a relentless refusal to wait. They decide to act despite uncertainty, despite discomfort, despite fear. They understand that momentum is created in motion, not hesitation. They build their future by forcing themselves to start, again and again, no matter what. This is why the biggest difference between success and failure is consistency. Small actions repeated over time become unstoppable force. It's not about how hard you hit one day, but about how hard you keep hitting every day. The grind isn't glamorous, but it's necessary. It's the muscle that turns dreams into reality. You can't outsource discipline or shortcut effort. It's a personal contract you make with yourself. And if you break that contract, no one else will keep you accountable. You must own it. No excuses, no exceptions. Your mind will fight you. It will whisper doubt. It will invent reasons to quit. This is normal. It's biology trying to keep you safe. But safe is not where greatness lives. Greatness lives in discomfort, in pushing boundaries, in making choices that scare your comfort zone into silence. When your mind screams to stop, that is your moment of power. That is your chance to prove who you really are. Choose the voice of discipline over the voice of doubt. Choose the path of force over the path of ease. You might feel weak now, but weakness is temporary. It only lasts as long as you let it. Strength, on the other hand, lasts a lifetime. You build strength by doing what feels impossible, by showing up when you don't want to, by fighting the urge to quit. And every time you win that battle, your confidence grows. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You become proof that you are stronger than your excuses, that your will is tougher than your fears, and that you control your life, not the other way around. This is not about motivation fading or rising. It's about discipline becoming your default, about creating a mindset where your decisions are no longer based on feelings but on your commitment to your future. It's about building a life where your actions are louder than your doubts, and your habits push you toward success every single day. You don't wait for the right moment. You create it. You don't hope for change. You demand it. You don't wish for strength. You build it. And you do it, day after day, no matter what. Because that's how the best become unstoppable. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is not luck or chance. It is the sum of your choices. Every decision, every moment where you choose action over comfort, builds the bridge between your current self and your future self. But this bridge won't build itself. It requires intentional steps, repeated relentlessly. You cannot wait for inspiration to carry you. You must become the source of your own drive. You must forge a mentality so strong that no setback can shake it, no failure can stop it, and no distraction can derail it. Your mind will try to protect you by keeping you small. It will tell you to stop before you start, to slow down when you should speed up, to give up before you've really begun. But your potential is greater than your fears, stronger than your doubts, and more powerful than any excuse. Every time you overcome that internal resistance, you gain a little more control over your life. That control compounds. It turns into confidence. It turns into power. It turns into results. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is the ability to keep pushing when every part of you screams to quit. This requires discipline, a discipline that becomes your backbone, discipline that turns your goals from wishful thinking into non-negotiable demands. When you build this kind of discipline, you stop needing motivation. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable, a wave that rises and falls. Discipline is the shore, steady, unmovable, dependable. It's the force that makes you get out of bed before your mind feels ready. It's the power that makes you work when no one is watching. It's the commitment to excellence that you keep, even when the world tries to distract you. You might not feel ready. You might feel overwhelmed. You might be tempted to wait for tomorrow, for next week, for someday. But that's a trap. The only moment you truly own is now. And the only way forward is through action. Every second you delay is a second wasted. Every choice to hesitate is a step away from your dreams. But every small act of courage, every moment you push through discomfort, is a brick laid in the foundation of your success. Force yourself to move beyond the limits you've accepted. Force yourself to take responsibility for your future. Force yourself to build habits that serve your vision, not sabotage it. It won't be easy. It won't be comfortable. But it will be worth it. Because the only way to become the best version of yourself is to force the change. To be relentless. To be unforgiving with your excuses. To be unyielding in your pursuit. Day after day, moment after moment. You are capable of more than you realize. But only if you decide to force yourself to be more. You have to accept that discomfort is part of growth. It will never feel easy. It will never feel fair. But that is the price of becoming more than you are now. You cannot build a better future by hiding from the hard parts of today. Every step forward demands sacrifice, a sacrifice of comfort, distraction, and old habits. The pain of growth is the signal that transformation is underway. If it feels easy, you're not growing. You're staying the same. And staying the same guarantees a future limited by your past. The key to change is action, repeated without exception. Action doesn't wait for motivation or perfect conditions. It is independent of feelings and moods. When you make the decision to act, even when you don't want to, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your excuses. That's how discipline is built, through the daily victories over the part of you that wants to quit. These small wins create momentum. Momentum fuels confidence. Confidence becomes courage. And courage turns you into the person who can handle anything life throws your way. You must stop making exceptions. No more "I'll start tomorrow" or "I deserve a break." Every time you delay, you weaken your willpower. You teach yourself that your goals are negotiable, but they are not. Your success is a contract you sign with yourself, a contract you honor every day with your choices. When you honor that contract, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for luck, timing, or circumstances to align. You create your own reality. You become the force that pushes your life forward. This means accepting that some days will be harder than others. Some days you will feel tired, discouraged, and ready to give up. But that is exactly when your commitment matters most. The choice to push through resistance defines who you are. It is not the easy days that shape you. It is the struggle, the challenge, the moments when you want to quit but refuse. In those moments, you build strength, character, and resilience. You build the unshakable mindset of someone who refuses to settle for less. Your mind will tell you to stop, to rest, to retreat. It is wired to avoid pain and discomfort. But your future self is begging you to ignore those voices. Your future self needs you to be relentless, to be disciplined, to be consistent. Because every time you push through, you send a message to yourself and the world that you are here to rise no matter what. That you refuse to be defined by your fears, weaknesses, or setbacks. You are defined by your force, the force to keep going when it hurts, when it's hard, when no one else believes in you. This force is not found in feelings, it is found in decision, in commitment, in the refusal to quit. When you live by force every day, you create a life of purpose, power, and possibility. You become the best not by chance, but by choice. And the choice is yours right now. Will you settle for comfort, or will you force yourself to be more? Will you stay small, or will you rise? The power to decide is in your hands. Use it. You must understand that the path to becoming your best self is not paved with comfort or ease. It is forged in the crucible of daily effort, persistence, and unwavering discipline. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. To give in to the voice that says "not today," or to rise above it and force yourself to do what needs to be done. That voice will try to convince you that rest is more important than progress, that convenience outweighs commitment, that your dreams can wait. But it lies. It is the enemy of growth disguised as kindness. You have to recognize it and refuse its call. Your greatest battles will be fought within. The war is not against external forces, but against your own excuses, doubts, and fears. When you decide to act despite these internal obstacles, you gain power. Real power. Power that no one can take away from you. That power comes from discipline, an invisible force that demands action without relying on how you feel. When you build this force, you create a life that is unstoppable because it no longer depends on fleeting motivation or favorable circumstances. You become the master of your destiny, the captain of your soul. Every time you force yourself to do what is hard, what is uncomfortable, what feels impossible, you train your mind to obey your mission, not your mood. You build habits that protect your future and push your potential beyond limits. This is how transformation happens, not through sudden bursts of energy, but through consistent daily commitment to excellence. The person you want to become is not created in moments of ease, but in moments of resistance overcome. In moments when you say no to quitting and yes to persistence. You have to set a standard for yourself so high that anything less feels like failure. A standard that requires you to show up, to push through resistance, and to maintain discipline even when no one is watching. This standard becomes your identity, your shield against distraction and defeat. When your standards become non-negotiable, you take control of your life. You no longer leave your success to chance or circumstance. You become the force that shapes your reality. Understand this, progress is not linear. There will be setbacks, failures, and days when you want to give up. But those moments don't define you. What defines you is what you do next. Do you let setbacks break you, or do you let them fuel your fire? Do you quit when it gets hard, or do you rise with more determination? Every moment of choice is a moment to prove your strength or surrender your power. Choose wisely. Choose consistently. Because the difference between those who win and those who fail is not luck. It is relentless commitment. You are capable of more than you realize. But capability is meaningless without action. You must force yourself to act daily, to push beyond limits, to refuse comfort in favor of growth. This is your life, your legacy, your time. Force yourself to be the best, not tomorrow, not next week, but every single day. The choice is yours. Will you take it? You can no longer afford to wait for permission from yourself or anyone else to step into your greatness. The truth is, no one is coming to save you, and no one owes you progress. This life is yours to command, and it will reflect exactly what you put into it. If you want to be exceptional, you must treat your commitment to excellence as non-negotiable. Every morning you have to force yourself to rise, to move, to push beyond the hesitation and resistance, because waiting for the perfect moment is the enemy of action. Perfection is a myth used to justify delay, and delay is the killer of dreams. You will face resistance. You will face distraction. Your mind will make peace with mediocrity and try to keep you comfortable, even if comfort means falling short. But you must refuse that bargain. Comfort is a lie dressed up as safety, and safety is a cage that locks you away from your potential.